Hey everybody, Ed Homewood. I hope everyone's doing well today. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you find today's video interesting. This is a really fascinating product, and it was one that really kind of engaged me. It is the Luxman D-03R CD player DAC, and it does some things different than what you might expect. So do me a favor, please. Sit back, relax, and we'll get going on this review. Well, before we get started talking about this really cool Luxman piece, I'd like to give a big shout out to our good friend Lenny Florentine and the team at All Elite Audio. All Elite Audio is a factory authorized Luxman dealer, and in the spirit of full disclosure, there will be an affiliate link to All Elite Audio for this product in the pinned comment and in the video description. So the Luxman D-03R, it is a $6,500 CD player DAC, and it can be a standalone DAC, it can be a standalone transport if you want to. I'll throw some specifications up here, but the key things are it is kind of mid-tier in Luxman's digital source product lineup, and it is an evolution of the very highly regarded D-03X unit, but it brings a new digital architecture. As you can see, the ROHM chips are in this thing. So in this review, we're going to cover the build quality and internal design. We're going to talk about some of the key features and its usability. We're going to talk about that really cool ROHM DAC implementation and what makes it unique and engaging. We're going to talk about connectivity, system flexibility, and then who's this product really for? Well, before we get started on the full review, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a minute, we'll look at the front panel, some of the features. We're going to take a look at the back panel, and of course, I'm going to open it up and give you a tour inside. So that's what we're going to do next. Give me a couple minutes to reconfigure. Well, here we are looking at the front panel of the D-03R, and I must make mention, and give them, hats off. The remote control is really well designed. The buttons are very clearly labeled, and that's a big deal for me because I got bad eyes. I'm an old man, right? So really good remote control with some great functions and great features on it that you don't even find on the front panel of the unit. So let's do this. Let's power the unit up, and it'll go through its little boot up sequence. And we have a number of different buttons. So for CD playback, we've got track forward, track back. If you push and hold, it's fast forward. You push and hold, it's rewind, stop, pause, play, and it'll give you a little LED indicator there. Then we have our digital filter inputs and our digital inputs. So for digital inputs, right now we're on CD, there's no disc in it. We can go to coax, optical, or USB input, or back around to CD. So let's open up the CD drawer and pop a CD in there really quick. And very smooth operation on that. Really, really nicely done. So it's going to go ahead and take a moment and read that. Now there's some interesting buttons on the remote control. So you have things like a dimmer for the display. You have phase inversion if you want to, if you believe that the recording you're listening to is out of phase completely. And then you have a zoom button and time button. So we're going to go ahead and start it. I'm going to go ahead and hit the button on the remote. We're going to start playing. And then what I can do is it'll show elapsed time. There we go. And then I can change it to show remaining time, total remaining time, or back to elapsed time. I can do zoom, which makes the display bigger, and I found this to be a really great function, especially, I've mentioned it before, I like a 15-foot interface. I want to be able to see the display from my chair, not when I'm right on top of it. So I love that zoom function, absolutely. And then again, you've got the digital, you got a dimmer for if you want the display off or back on. Again, really, really nicely, well thought out, really well executed player. So let's go ahead and stop that. And you know what? Why don't we spin it around and take a look at the back? Well, here we are looking at the back of the Luxman unit, and I'm going to start on your left. So we've got balanced line out, we've got single-ended line out. They are both hot all the time. So if you wanted to feed this out to something with a balanced input on a preamp, this out, I don't know, maybe to a second amplifier or something, if you're doing something different, you have the flexibility. USB-B in, SPDIF optical in, SPDIF coaxial in. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You've got a Toslink output and a coax output if you wanted to run to an external DAC. Honestly, with the performance of this thing, I'm not sure why. And then control, actually what that is like a trigger. So if this is plugged into a Luxman integrator, when you turn on the integrated, it will turn this on, and then you can chain out and turn on another Luxman piece, whatever. So it's kind of like a trigger, 12-volt trigger, whatever, but they call it system control. So anyway, that's a look at the back panel. Let's open it up and dig around inside. Well, here we are looking at the inside of the Luxman D-03R. And the chassis is really well laid out. This is 3.2 millimeter steel base with a very rigid enclosure. It's what they call a loopless chassis construction, and it's an asymmetrical internal layout separating the key circuits. So power supply in here, back panel here, front panel here, power supply filtering. DAC is underneath in its own separate metal housing and completely isolated from everything else. And then of course the analog section is right there. So the power supply, large transformer. It has independent regulation for the transport, the digital stuff, and then the analog stages. And it has increased capacitor capacity of 6,600 microfarads, and this all contributes to a lower noise floor, improved dynamic stability, and much better bass control and transient response. Now the transport itself is a dedicated single layer CD mechanism. It's optimized specifically for CD playback. This isn't a CD-ROM drive out of a computer or anything like that, and it offers really fast, stable operation with greatly reduced servo noise. You know, this is a focused design choice. It's precision over universality. So it costs a little bit more to do that, but as you can see, beautifully well laid out. And again, I wish I could show you the ROHM DAC chips underneath this. It's in its own housing, so it's completely isolated. Another interesting thing is, and you'll notice here, there's an RF choke on the cables coming from the OLED display section. OLED displays and LED displays LCD displays can induce noise into a circuit. So they've done everything they can to minimize that, and I think they've done an excellent job. So anyway, that's a look at the inside of the Luxman D-03R. Let's button this bad boy up and get on with the rest of the review. Well, as you can see from looking inside this unit, it's really well put together. It is a very, very nice unit. And of course, you would expect that from a brand like Luxman and their reputation. The thing that engaged me most of all really was the ROHM chipset, that dual mono BD34352EKV, that's a mouthful, chipset. I think that's really interesting. And obviously using two of them for dual mono, you get fully separate left and right channels. You get improved channel separation and imaging, and this thing does image well. We'll talk about that a little bit in the subjective section. Much lower noise and crosstalk. You know, the curious thing is ROHM is a very well-established semiconductor manufacturer in Japan, but still relatively uncommon in high-end DACs. That alone makes this implementation stand out. Well, one of the most engaging parts of the Luxman D-03R is, I think, that ROHM DAC sonic character. I find, you know, implementation is important, but I find ROHM DAC chips to kind of be associated with a very natural, unforced presentation, good micro detail and spatial layering, and very good tonal density without any heaviness. You know, they tend to avoid the sharper, more kind of clinical edge of ESS Sabre designs, and they maintain really good clarity and structure. Well, almost all DACs have selectable digital filters, and I'll be honest with you, most of the time, it is really, really, really hard to hear a difference between those filters. They're so subtle, if there's even a discernible difference at all, and sometimes I wonder if there is. On this particular unit, however, the selectable filters allow for some very subtle tuning. I found the sharp filter gave a little bit more precision, maybe a little extra edge definition, and then the slow filter, which kind of fit my taste better, that was a little smoother, a little more relaxed presentation. I think having selectable filters that where there is an audible difference gives you, the user, or me, the user, some control over system synergy and tonal balance. So clocking and signal integrity on this particular unit is quite good. There's an independent jitter reduction per channel on the balance side. It uses an ultra low phase noise master clock, and very careful, as you saw when we looked inside, very careful digital analog isolation. So all of those features contribute to really good imaging stability and overall realism. But yes, this will benefit from adding a quality DDC reclocker to it. So for product testing on this, you know, this is where the D-03R really begins to separate itself. In my system, I evaluated both CD playback and using it as a standalone DAC via USB using Artivana, which is of course always my streaming front end. You know, what stood out immediately to me was the D-03's kind of unique sonic character, and I think it's attributable to those ROHM DAC chips. It really doesn't fall into the typical DAC categories. Instead, it sits somewhere between ESS Sabre architectures and AKM Velvet Sound implementations like the 4499, 4191. But importantly for me, it sits much closer to that AKM Velvet Sound. So my overall listening impressions are the unit is warm but not soft. It's detailed but never strident, clinical, fatiguing in any way. It's very smooth. It's very listenable for long periods of time, and it's completely non-fatiguing. And that is one of the things I found most engaging about this. You know, there's a sense of ease to the presentation. Nothing is forced. Nothing is exaggerated. It just kind of flows, and it pulls you in, which is the mark of a really good piece of gear. Well, I found all of those characteristics of sonic qualities to be the same. On CD playback, the D03 really shines. The CDs sounded engaging, full-bodied, exceptionally natural. You know, it generally makes you want to go dig deep into your CD collection and sit and listen for hours, which I did because it made me. I didn't have a choice. Now, using it as a standalone DAC, this is where it got really interesting. You know, in my world, CDs sound better than streaming for sure. I'm an analog guy, so I love LPs best of all, but there is something about a CD playback that sounds better than streaming. But what I found was, even, you know, I used probably the best streamer software there is, Artivana. Using this as a standalone DAC, that streaming content sounded really clean, very refined, and very musically cohesive. It maintained the same kind of smooth, slightly warm tonal balance. There was no edge, no glare, just a very enjoyable presentation, and I listened to this for many, many hours. So in my testing, I used it with a lot of associated equipment. Some of it you can see behind me here. I did use it with the A12 Classic, and that was a very good combination. This just provides a really good signal. And again, I'm a source first guy, so the first link of the chain needs to be the strongest. So for many of us, this could be that very first link in the chain. So its signal is appropriate to drive any high-end piece of gear, really, that you would consider. At $6,500, obviously we're not going to put this into a Pioneer AVR receiver, but it performed exceptionally well with the A12 Classic. It performed exceptionally well with the A8 Apex. It performed exceptionally well with the Musical Fidelity M8XI. It performed very well with the Luxman 507 unit that I reviewed earlier. It performed really well with the Black Ice F360 you see back here and the Pearl Acoustics 7040. I mean, there was no combination that I put together with this unit that really didn't give me a tremendous level of performance and a great deal of listening satisfaction. So, big question, who's this product for? Who is the Luxman D-03R for? Could be you. It could certainly be me. I think this is an excellent fit for audiophiles who have with a good CD collection that they want to rediscover. I do prefer CDs over streaming, so I dug deep into the collection with this one. I think it's for listeners too who prioritize long-term listenability over hyper detail, you know, that fatiguing sound that makes you want to get up and turn things down or skip tracks. This one won't. It's just going to encourage you to play with it longer. I think it is a good fit for systems that would benefit from a slightly warmer, more natural tonal balance rather than kind of that glary, over digital process sort of, you know, I call it saber glare. This doesn't have any of that. And you know what? It's a great fit for someone who's looking for a high-end, all-in-one CD player and DAC solution. You know, it's especially compelling for those who want to simplify their system without sacrificing any performance. So wrapping it all up, summary on the Luxman D-03R. You know, this is a very thoughtfully engineered digital source that delivers outstanding build quality, as you saw, a very clean, well-executed internal architecture, and a distinctive and highly musical DAC implementation. The ROHM chips have really been very engaging in a couple of other products where I've tested them on. So sonically, it lands in a very appealing and very attractive space. It's more natural and relaxed than any ESS Sabre-based DAC that I've heard. And it's slightly more detailed and structured than the typical AKM, although it shares a lot of that similar kind of warmth. It's a rare balance, and Luxman has executed it beautifully. This is a remarkable piece of equipment that consistently delivers a smooth, engaging, and fatigue-free listening experience. Well, the Luxman D-03R, you know, it doesn't try to wow you with sharp edges or exaggerated detail, not in the least. It draws you in with balance, musicality, and ease. It's one of those components that just makes you want to keep listening. It kind of grabbed me by the lapels and said, come on, we're going to go deep into your CD collection. You know, and for me, that's what this hobby is all about. This is a highly recommended unit. Well, before we completely wrap things up, again, a big shout out to Lenny Florentine, our good friend at All Elite Audio and his team there. There will be an affiliate link to this product for All Elite Audio in the pinned comment and video description. So if you're interested in it, Lenny is a factory authorized Luxman dealer. He can ship anywhere in the 48 contiguous states. And obviously he's a great guy. We all know him from YouTube. So thanks, Lenny. I appreciate all your support. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you'd consider giving me a like and your subscription. I would greatly appreciate that. Maybe you'd consider ringing the bell to get notified the next time I put out a video. I would like to take a moment and say thank you to my channel members and subscribers. Guys, your support is invaluable, and you know I appreciate it very much. As I mentioned, there is an affiliate link to All Elite Audio for this particular product in the pinned comment and in the video description, excuse me. And also in the pinned comment and video description is a link to channel membership if you are so inclined to join. There are some additional affiliate links in the video description, not a ton. There's a link to the community post playlist. Please check that out. Comment, let me know your thoughts. Are you looking for an all-in-one solution? You know, this is not inexpensive, but oh my goodness, this is well built. That's really kind of a piece you're probably going to own for a really long time. It sounds wonderful. It performs wonderfully. It's easy to use. It's got good flexibility. What's the, you know, it's a win-win with this particular one. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on it. I think I've covered all the bases on the Luxman D-03R. Indeed, I have. Please consider liking. Please consider subscribing. Comment. Follow me on Instagram if you are so inclined. My name is Ed Homewood. This is the Old Guy Hi-Fi channel, and please find some time in your busy day today to put on music you love and just take a few moments just for yourself and kind of just relax and, you know, enjoy the balance of your day. You gave me a lot of your time today. Thank you so much for it. I really hope you have a great day.